Really? They say he died of a massive heart attack.
Was that what it was? I didn't get sick.
Sir?
Item 55. That means COVID, and that's the reason we didn't do that case. So we do have to have a public hearing. So that one will move that, and then you'll have 77.
Oh, yeah.
Double five. There we go. We got it. Good morning, everyone. Mine is 21. I'll add to it. Do it. Good morning, everyone. Apologize for being a little late today. Is there any business that we need to transact out of the August 18th meeting? Like to reconvene that meeting at this time? Seeing no business, that meeting is now adjourned. Ms. DiLiberto, will you call our September the 8th meeting to order, please?
Yes, Commissioner Adams?
Here.
Commissioner Knott? Here. Commissioner Scales?
Good morning.
Commissioner Tyson? Good morning. Commissioner Stevens?
I am here. Thank you very much. We have our invocation today brought to us through District 4 and the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Knight, if you'll introduce your pastor and let Othel Phillips lead us in the pledge.
I have here with us Pastor Hayes Kirby, Church of the Highlands in Fultondale campus, and we appreciate you being here, sir. If y'all will all rise.
It's an honor to be here today. Thank you, Commissioner Knight, for the opportunity. Let's pray. Father, thank you for who you are. Before we get into asking for anything, we just honor you for who you are and what you have done for us, all the many blessings in our life. We celebrate you and how you love the entire world. And God, as we enter into just the business of the county, I pray for your Holy Spirit to be in this place. I pray for every commissioner. I pray for every government official in the state of Alabama, in our nation. God, we need a revival, and we already see drops of revival falling in our nation and in our country and in our state. And we pray that you would continue to move in a powerful, powerful way. We thank you for what gets conducted today. It won't just be the wisdom of human beings, but it would be wisdom from you, wisdom from your Holy Spirit. God, we need you. We thank you. God, I pray a special blessing over every single individual here in this room today, in our county, in our state, in our nation, and in our world. We pray that you would continue to move. And we need you and every bit of who you are as we make leadership decisions, as we lead the people you've entrusted to us. And I thank you, Father, that today will bring you glory and honor in every single way. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Commissioner, you have before you the commission meeting minutes from August the 18th. Is there any additions, corrections, or revisions to those minutes, or can they stand as read?
Second.
Have a motion and a second for something. But we're going to waive the.
Yeah, it's for the approval of the minutes. Go ahead.
We're going to waive the reading of the minutes. All in favor say aye. Aye. There are no presentations today. We have public hearing Z 220024, Pine Haven Baptist Church. Mr. Marsh.
Yes, sir. Good morning.
This is a request to go from institutional 1 zoning and R6 zoning to R7, which is a planned unit development. The applicants in this case are proposing a large multi-use development that consists primarily of duplexes and a large apartment complex, all of which are geared towards persons 55 and older. The case did go through Planning and Zoning Commission. There was some concerns about traffic, as well as concerns about the dam that's on the property there. That would be in conjunction with that existing pond. The proposed development does comply with the standards for R7 zoning. It's provided to you on your dais today, as well as what is on screen. This is the latest plan that they've come up with. They've done some adjustments based on recommendations of the county traffic engineer. With this being R7 zoning, they will be rezoning, and the development will take place in accordance with what the approved plan is, with only minor deviations that would be allowed without having approval from the Planning and Zoning Commission. This proposed development is compliant with the county's land use plan for this area, as institutional zoning can be considered, or institutional uses can be considered in any given area, meaning that it meets the scale and size of everything that may be around it. And if you'll notice here, this is north of Ross Bridge, and there are some apartments down here at the Ross Bridge complex that are in the near vicinity here. And so it wouldn't be anything that would be out of character with anything that's located at this intersection now. This site is bordered by territory that's within the city of Birmingham as well as the city of Hoover. It was asked the other day if there was a plan for annexation into the city of Birmingham. We conferred with the planning staff as well as the transportation staff over at the city of Birmingham, and neither had any knowledge of any plan to annex this property. Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval with some conditions, one being a minimum landscape buffer of 15 feet along the western side of the property. 2, the use shall be limited to an age-restricted residential facility, limiting the age 55 years of age or older. All outdoor lighting shall be directional in nature. The proposed development shall be limited to substantial compliance with the site plan submitted to P&Z on July the 21st, which was their last P&Z meeting. Any changes must be approved by P&Z. A right of entry and maintenance agreement must be made between the developer and the adjacent property owner to monitor, maintain, and repair the dam as necessary to ensure structural integrity and operational capacity of the dam, and to be reviewed and accepted by the county drainage engineer. In conversation with the county drainage engineer, staff is also going to recommend an additional condition, which is also listed on the screen. A dam breach analysis shall be submitted as part of the site development plan, and any improvements determined to be necessary to protect downstream property owners and existing infrastructure be completed. And this, again, is just to ensure that the drainage basin and the drainage pond itself is going to be sufficient enough so that we won't have road washouts or any damages to anybody that may be downstream.
Going back to the photo, where's that dam at?
It's located here at the drainage pond.
Is it an earthen dam? Is it?
Yes.
What's the elevation that falls off toward the backside of it? If that dam were to breach, would it?
Let's get more. It would go towards,
would it ooze out, or would it flow out like it's a waterfall?
If it were to overflow, I mean, it would cause. Right.
No, I'm not worried about overflowing. I'm worried about it breaching.
So the dam it's an existing pond, it's part of a two-pond structure that was constructed in a ravine. So any overflow to that dam or damage to it will spill down into the lower one, which then would spill down into an area that would then overtop and cross the road. And there is a residence to the side and up the hill, but that's part of the reason that the dam breach analysis is important, to make sure that that infrastructure is sufficiently resilient and maintained in a way that is necessary to abate those issues.
On Ross Bridge Drive, doesn't it narrow to a 2-lane right in there?
Yeah, it is. Shannon Winona is a 2-lane that leads into Ross Bridge from the north. If you're leaving Ross Bridge going north towards Lakeshore Drive, yes, it does narrow to 2-lane right there. And as part of their development plan, they have revised that access along there to just be a one-way. So I believe it would just be entrance only?
From the north?
Yes. Let's see, it says on this other sheet. Yes, entry only. So it would just be one way. There wouldn't be any exiting onto Shannon Winona from that
How
side.
many total units, counting all the duplexes and the apartments or condos or whatever they are?
184.
Is there any opposition?
There was some
There is.
opposition at the hearing, and I believe there have been some folks signed in today with some questions regarding the case. Any additional questions?
That's it. Like to open a public hearing at this time for Z 220024. I have 1, 2, 3. I have 4 people that have signed the list to address this. One to Frank Quinn. Frank, you list Kimberly, Alabama. That's a long way from.
Yes, I live in Kimberly now, but I grew up in Shannon, Rossbridge area.
Okay. All right, and James Carter.
I live in the Mountain View community.
Okay. Brian Sutter. And Chris Farther.
It's Chris Porter. I'm just Oswald Associates, just in support of Brian.
Okay, let's start out with Mr. Carter. Yes, sir. Would you come up to the podium, state your name, your address, and then you can state your position. Then we'll go with Mr. Quinn and move forward from there. How are you today?
Good morning. Just want to make sure that mic is working.
Yes, sir. You're good.
I'm here to tell a story. And I tried to email my comments and things, and apparently I couldn't get them through. I live in the Mountain View community, and my property would be directly affected by the zone change. First, let me preface my statements. My neighbors in Shannon have been exceptional. I love them. I'm in no way directing my frustrations or my comments towards them. I'm attempting to explain to the committee why such a change would affect my community. When I purchased my home, I moved away from brick buildings in the city and thought that this would be an area for me to raise my family. I've raised 2 children in this community. Our community is tucked away from all the noise of the city. In other words, it's a place of refuge, a quiet place of serenity and peace. After moving here, I met an elderly man who was a gardener. One day I got the courage to stop and talk with him. I learned a lot about gardening from him. He was hard of hearing and full of information. I made many more stops over the years, and one day I was in the Shannon post office, and I learned that he had passed away. On the corner where his garden was located, there's a black walnut tree and a persimmon tree next to the driveway on the Shannon roadside. As you travel down the road, there is a house with an apple tree in the front yard. And next to that house, there's another house with a pear tree that is always full of pears. I don't want to see that disappear. I moved to this area for that kind of lifestyle, for the beauty of the landscape. Now, I do disagree with Roz in terms of putting a facility in my back door. Brick buildings. The infrastructure is not developed well enough to handle the traffic that's already coming through there. To alter the community would take away from the ambience of what we have in that community. I asked this committee to strongly consider not even allowing this. There are other properties that can be considered to put such a facility in a development. I understand that, I don't have the kind of pockets that Roz have. I don't have that kind of money to fight them in a court. But this is my opportunity to speak. And I would love for you to consider what I'm saying. Now, I'm not sure if any of my other neighbors are here to speak, but I came in protest of this development. I made that very clear to Ross when they met at Ross Bridge. And I'm sure that there are other people who would object, but I'm not sure why they're not here. Now, consequently, moving such a large mass of dirt in an area like that, I haven't seen any man or machine that could really handle the flow of water. As you can see, we've had these massive floods across the country, no dam, no way you can control that flow of water. A 15-foot buffer, well, I'll be staring into the back door of whatever house there is or building there is there. We only have such a thin buffer already between Shannon, the Shannon community, and our community. So we definitely feel that, well, I can speak for myself. I feel like that 15-foot buffer is not enough. Development itself is out of place with the residential zoning that's already there. We'd like to see it remain a residential zone. Like I said before, my comments are in no way towards the neighbors of Shannon. As I said, I met a gardener, very nice gentleman. It's a very nice place, and we don't want to see it change.
So you say you live in Mountain View. Where is that in relation to that?
We're on the let's see. Yes, right here. Be right in our back door.
I'm sorry, I didn't see where you were pointing.
It's right here.
To the left.
Okay. Is that a neighborhood back there?
Yes, sir. Quite an affluent community. We like to see it stay that way. Would not want to take anything outside of this hearing to the next level. So we ask that you consider my comments as I am prepared to go further.
Okay. Commissioner Tyson.
Yes, I have received some calls from some residents over there. Walter Body called about, were y'all notified about, was all the residents notified about this project going on?
I'm not really sure, but we got two notices, one for August and then another one that came in that was for this hearing today. So there are two different notices that came out from the Planning and Zoning Committee. So I'm not sure if there was some confusion about when this was going to take place, but I was counting on this being the right meeting, and so I'm here today, so it is.
Can I ask Michael, was it up to y'all to notify the neighborhoods that's?
The reason for the two notices is that we send out notice for one, the Planning and Zoning Commission, who hears the case first, and makes the recommendation to you all. That's why they received two notices. And notices went out to all property owners within 500 feet.
That's all, 500 feet?
That's what we're required to do by law.
Because I received really 3 calls when they had a meeting over in Ross Bridges. They
and that would have been something that the developer did on his own volition, which of course we advised them to do.
And the residents called and told me that they had went to a meeting over there. So I would like to know, did the developers reach out to the residents in that area about the building of this
I believe they're here to answer that question.
Yes, ma'am. We did reach out. We've had neighborhood meetings that were not just.
How many?
We had one neighborhood meeting, and then we had an additional meeting with the HOA at their request. Met with their HOA. They requested additional items like right now. I think the landscape buffer is 15 feet. We're providing an additional 25 feet. There are concerns about the proximity of our largest building, the 4-story building, to their closest residential home. That is, I believe, right around 225 feet from their closest house to our largest building, which is that the larger apartment building on the northern side also, part of this package, you'll see that there's a site section, due to the topography. Our apartment building there is lower in topography, and so you can actually see that,
He just speaking?
that bottom section there, you can see that the largest building we have is lower. On the right-hand side of that picture is that neighboring community.
Question, are you the applicant?
I am, yes, sir.
You didn't sign in as the applicant, and that was one of the problems. When this gentleman finishes speaking, I'm going to let you come up and make your case, and then we'll have the other opposition, okay?
Yes, sir.
Can I ask another question? Is it any way we can have another, I think one town hall meeting to the neighborhood is not enough. I feel like they have not been informed enough, because from the calls that I received, they said they ran up on the meeting. They were like not really notified. Someone called someone like that. So I wanted to see, is it any way we can have some more input in from that community? Because I actually went over there and I actually drove the community where Mountain View is. They building a new subdivision on the other side. Am I correct? It's another sub. If you go around that little bend where y'all first enter your development, you go around, they building some more houses over there. Alvin Johnson them is building. I looked at some property. I was over there looking at some things over there.
That's been in the making for years.
Yeah, that's been going on for about 10, 12 years now. And I was looking over in that area, and Oxmoor Valley is around the other way. So I would just like to know how could they go by notifying the community and letting them know about this project, where the community can get some more information. I know those are some pretty expensive homes in that area, and I know you do value your property, and you do have some concerns, and I can totally get that. So I would like to know, is it any way they can do that? Notify the community, because one meeting is not enough.
Mr. President. So how many more speakers do we have, Mr. President?
2 more, I believe.
Okay, so I'll wait until they speak.
Mr. Tyson really had a good point. You need through communications, you're able to work together and have relationships. And I'm sure that this planned development wants to be a good neighbor. They just don't know how to be a good neighbor because they haven't had that communications with the neighbors yet.
Mr. President?
I think, yes.
Okay. Are you acknowledging?
I just stopped what I did and acknowledged it. Yes, ma'am.
Because what I'm hearing is that they don't want it. It's
Absolutely.
a difference between communication to proceed to a development versus the fact that they don't want it. Now, what I'm hearing is that you don't want it because you want to maintain your property value. You moved in the community so you can have peace and tranquility, and this would serve as an opposition to that. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're not interested in a development.
No,
you
ma'am.
want it to cease and desist. Is that
Not
right?
at all.
Okay,
Not at all.
I got it.
And Commissioner Stevens, if I may, let the record reflect that if this goes forward, I plan to go further.
Well, that's fine. Well, that happens all the time. We don't. That has no bearing of what we do as a commission. We're trying to make sure that your needs are met along with the needs of the applicant, and that usually works through communication and to be able to understand, and there's accommodations that they can make as a development coming in that possibly will make you happy and give you the buffer that you need and the things that would be needed and necessary to make it happen. But you can't have that unless you talk. You have to talk to each other, not at each other. And we have that problem over here sometimes. But we understand that when we work together, that it will work out. And it may be that you're set and nothing's going to ever change. I fully understand and fully respect that. It may be that you can work with this developer and find something that will be workable for everyone. And if that point comes in, this commission, it changes what this commission does. And I think that if we were to do something right now, it would be premature. And we've heard from you. I want to hear from the other opposition. I want to hear from the developer. And then this commission will take a minute to reflect. You'll hear from the commissioners, and then we will decide what we'll do, okay?
Yeah.
I appreciate you, and I think that's the way we need to work it.
One more thing. We're not interested in the development.
Say that
I just
again.
want to reiterate the fact that we don't want it there.
Understand?
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Let's hear from, we have one other opposition, and then I want to hear from the applicant. Mr. Quinn? How are you today, sir?
That's fine. I'm Frank Quinn, and actually, I think you said it a while ago, I live in Kimberly, but I grew up in Shannon. I own property. Actually, my property line runs down the middle of that dam that's in question. The plans, I think, are to increase the water level 30% behind that dam. And as we stated, and the reason it's an action item for us to handle it, there's some pine trees growing out of that dam that are about 3 foot in diameter. So if they ever blow over in a windstorm, tornado, that dam's gone. So my concern is everything would rush into a little pond I got below there. It would overflow my dam immediately, take it right down the road in the street. And the road down through there is down a narrow ravine, so the water would go straight down. I have been meeting with the engineering department. We had a meeting Tuesday. They brought some proposal to me to talk about, but we haven't got it resolved yet. And I just wanted the commission to know we haven't resolved it. The proposal they brought required me giving them access to several parts of my property. I think it totaled about 16% of my land they wanted to be able to use for the spillway and things, and want me to give it to them. Well, that's, I'm sorry?
Give it to them.
Well, they wanted a easement for it, but it would take it away from me being able to use it, et cetera. So, or not totally, but for certain things it would. So that's an issue we're going to need to resolve. And we met Tuesday. I'm waiting for something from their legal person in Jacksonville, Florida, to send me a legal document so I can read what they're proposing. You know, it's one thing to see it on a map with little squares. It's another thing to read what the legal language says about what type of easement, who has access to that easement, and all of that. So that part's still up in the air. But the dam and that lake is my main concern, because it just opens up some issues, and the engineering company understands that.
I think you've just reinforced what I just said with other gentlemen, that we're not quite ready for this yet.
We're not, and from as far as building it, I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I grew up over there. I don't live over there anymore, but I grew up in that area before Mountain View was there, before Ross Bridge. I hunted all those woods. I fished these ponds
Me too.
when I was 13 years old.
So I understand.
Okay. But anyway, that's my concern.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mr. Quinn.
Yes, sir.
Yes. How long has that dam been there? If you know, was it?
It was old when I bought the land, and I think I bought the land in about 1980, 70 or 80. Okay. There were actually 3 ponds there. My land has a pond below that, a small one. But there were 2 ponds above me on that piece of property when I bought it, about below them. They were the 2 bigger lakes. They drained the upper 2 probably 20 years ago, and they filled in the upper one and kept the middle one. But to my understanding, most of the water flow for that area after the development will come right down through that lake and through my land.
Thank you, sir.
How big is that lake?
I don't know that the engineering company could give you the size. It's not that big. It's just they're increasing it 30%. I assume they're expecting about a 30% increase in water flow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else speaking against this? We'll now hear from the applicant.
Good morning. My name is Brian Sedeth. I'm with Rise. I'm the applicant. I'm a little surprised to hear the concerns about communication, because we have had our neighborhood meeting. We invited not just Mountain View, but the community around it. We had that meeting. We did have some opposition, but I was surprised to get many people come up to me afterwards in favor of. Mountain View HOA then reached out to me and requested that I be present at their regular HOA meeting that's held on a monthly basis. I was there in person, meeting with the board, and then also some of the residents. They had requested during the neighborhood meeting that we increase our setback. The landscape buffer. The landscape buffer, as you see as a condition, is 15 feet. We've expanded that to 25 feet. That's just the landscape. Their biggest concern was the distance from our largest building to their closest home. And we provided them the plans, showed them the dimensions, and I believe the closest is about 225 feet from their home to our largest building. Their other concern was the trash compactor. Our trash compactor was showing close to our entry at Shannon. Right now, at their request, we relocated it because they were concerned that it was going to be an eyesore. So when I met with the HOA, after their questions were answered, they came to me and said they were actually in favor of it. I understand that not everyone in the neighborhood is going to be in favor of what we're doing. And I was told that they were going to be here, but I don't see anyone else from the board here. That being said, regarding the pond, we are increasing the size of the pond on our property. It is going to increase about 30%. We are not increasing the height of that water line. We're increasing the depth and the width, more so on our property. Currently, there's a dam that runs along the property line, and we have been speaking with Mr. Quinn about that. Our plan now is to move, and it's reflected in our drawings, that we're moving that dam off of the property line about 35 feet more inward onto our property. There is a current spillway that occurs on the northern point at that tip that is existing right now. That spillway is for the existing pond to flow into Mr. Quinn's pond. Our civil engineer who is present today has run some numbers, and he's expressed to me that we're actually going to be decreasing that spillway. What we are requesting from Mr. Quinn is not to be given an easement. It's the spillway currently lies within the current setback, property setback. We're requesting to formalize that easement so that that spillway can be maintained, and we're willing to help maintain that. Also, where his existing dam the existing dam that's on the property line, we're requesting that there also be an easement there that we can help maintain that. That's an additional eyes that are looking at it. We have a regular maintenance program that we adhere to, both on a monthly basis, pre-storm basis, and then after storm basis. Those maintenance programs are also audited on a quarterly basis. That's for all of our properties, and not just inside the buildings, but also the exterior, the site itself. We take great pride in what we do. That being said, we have relocated our entry off of Shannon Winona Road. That was more in line with Sunbelt Parkway. After our traffic analysis, the traffic study was done, there was concerns about being able to exit or even enter into our site at that point, because that's a pretty intense curve up ahead on the north side. And so it was recommended that we move that south and also make that an entrance only, so that those that were trying to exit the property would not have to do so concerned about oncoming traffic from the north. That is one thing that we have done that was different than as a response to the last hearing, is make that a one-way. There is an entrance and an exit off of Shannon Road. That updated traffic study has been shared, and I believe we've already started having those conversations with the county engineer.
So there's 2 entrances and 1 exit.
That is correct, yes, sir. And this is age restricted, 55 and older. That's part of the conditions as well. Originally, we were wanting to do age targeted, but we are more than happy to maintain that age restricted community.
All right, I have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
You said you would maintain the spillway, but after you're done and gone, who maintains the spillway?
Well, if it's part of the easement, that's part of the reason why we want to formalize the agreement.
But my question is, who would maintain it afterwards?
The HOA, who would maintain it after you've completed? He has a very legitimate question.
You mean after
you develop and sell all the properties, and then y'all move on to the next project, who's going to maintain that spillway?
So it's not going to be subdivided so that we're selling all the properties. It's going to be one property. But I do think I understand your question. What happens years and decades from now, because this is not intended for us to be able to turn this and sell it in the near future. We want to be part of the community. We have our office on top of Red Mountain. We're very much part of, we want to be here. But your concern is about what happens later on. Right now, that spillway exists from this property onto our neighbor's property.
Right, and you're going to increase it 30% and lower the depth of that lake.
No, so we are going to increase the surface area of our pond. We're going to be decreasing the spillway that's actually running off of our property into that pond. So it's actually going to be decreasing what's happening right now.
A couple more questions. What's the source of that water to that lake?
The source of that existing pond, I believe it's all runoff. But I do have my civil engineer here that would be able to speak to that in more detail.
Okay, Mr. Commissioner, could I add on to your previous question?
Sure.
Because I don't know that we answered it. I know you want to be here. It's like, who's maintaining that dam in perpetuity once you make the changes? Is there going to be an HOA here, or is there a CAM that dam is maintained in perpetuity once this development is put into place?
So the dam that we're going to be putting on our property would be fully on our property at this point. We're moving that away from the property line onto our property within, I believe it's 35 feet off that property
But
line.
who's maintaining it 20, 30, 50 years? Is that your group that's still maintaining it as long as that is there?
If the dam is on our property, then the property owner would have to maintain that dam.
One more question. These are 4 stories. You have elevators in there?
We do have elevators in the 4-story buildings. Yes, sir.
You finished? So I have several questions for you. One, this business, as I see it, tell me what you consider this business to be that you all are attempting to do. I see, according to what I have here, it is obviously for older individuals. I mean, is this some type of communal living? Or tell me a little bit more about what you're building.
This is apartment living for those that are 55 and older. Most of the individuals that live in our 55 and older communities have decided that they wanted to downsize. They no longer want to live in their homes. They no longer want to cut the grass. They no longer want to do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
These individuals, most of them are no longer working. The average age in our communities is 73.
Mm-hmm.
And this is purely not an assisted living. This is active adults that are within the 55 and older age range.
Would you say that this business, I know the answer, but I'd like for you to respond for the record. This business is for profit, am I correct?
That is correct, yes, ma'am. This will be an apartment community, rental apartments for 55 and older.
Okay, just for the record.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, my next question would be, as relates to communicating with the residents in that area, did you all do any kind of informational setting where those who are homeowners versus what you're building in terms of property, either appreciation or depreciation, was that provided at all? Have you done any such study?
So that was one question was asked. And it's rightfully so. When someone moves into your neighborhood, is my property value going to go up or down? And to be honest, I cannot tell you if it's going to go up or down based off of the economy. I could, and I expressed this in the neighborhood meeting as well, that I've done my research, but it doesn't matter what I say because I'm the developer. And so you're going to assume that it's biased. Now, what I have researched indicates that across the country, when you're bringing in apartments, that you're not going to actually decrease or increase. At times, you will see an increase because you have you have more people living there. You're increasing the jobs around the area. Retail continues to go up, and then suddenly that space becomes a more desirable area. But most of the time, from my research, it does not change the value either up or down.
So I'm not being sarcastic when I say this.
Yes, ma'am.
You're wonderful. You should be in politics. You did everything but answer my question, which sounds to me as though that information was not provided to the residents that would have to be the neighbors to this property, right?
That is correct. I cannot provide information regarding whether their property value will go up or down. So there's no information that I could provide them.
Okay.
We did discuss it, but I'm not able to provide that information.
Okay. So let me also ask this, and then I'm gonna provide my personal statement. Okay. So what would the average leasing cost be for a person? I mean, I'm sure you forecasted that. So, this property or this development would probably have how many units, would you say?
We have a total of 184, so 50 of those are going to be your cottages, which are going to be primarily on the eastern side. We do have 4 at the top. Those cottages are duplexes, but we call them cottages. Both have garages, private garages, and some of them actually have 2-car garages.
So your average leasing cost would be what?
For a 2-bedroom, it's right around $2,100 a month.
All right. And so how many did you say that would apply to? You said 2 bedrooms. I mean, what is it? You said $2,100, am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
How many properties would that be eligible for? Like within that development, how many would you say?
I believe that our mix is right now 60% 2 bedrooms.
Okay, so 60% is the total. The total
184.
development is 184,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
And you're saying 60% of 184.
I believe that's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so 9.2. So that's like 92 units would be 50%. A little bit above that would probably be close to 100, maybe 105. Is that what I'm kind of gathering?
That sounds right.
All right. So then if we say 2,100 times 105 would be $220,500 per month. Is that right? Would you say that?
Assuming that the math is correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Well, I understand. I can't see, so.
Okay, that's okay.
I
So let me share a little story with you so you'll hear my heart before you see my vote, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
When I was a council member, I'll never forget that we had some very pricey homes in a community that basically the road on Carson Road did not have apartments, right? And the people came out and they spoke and they said, hey, this is not going to be good. At some point our properties will depreciate. And then more importantly, people may be able to afford on some level to come, but they won't have the mindset of a homeowner, right? Okay, if you go up Carson Road right now to this day, whether it be on the city line or whether it's on the county line, every undesirable thing you can think of is what happened. Now, I understand if you're paying $2,100 per month for one unit, you may have a different kind of resident, right? But here's the thing that I hope that we take under consideration as a commission. You're going there to do business. The people who live there are taxpayers who plan to live there, period. So whatever, good or bad or indifferent, they got to live there. And your property value better be at the forefront of your mind, especially if you're the homeowner versus a multifamily dwelling, right? That regardless to once it's built, the outcome of that will affect those folk who are there. Now, you seem to be a reasonable young man, and I will say this to you. I wouldn't take my property where seemingly people don't want it. That means that they don't want to do business with you there, right? So I would say it would be incumbent, and I'm very proud of the resident who came up, both of you. But I understand, sir, you're in Kimberly, but I'm definitely talking about you, sir. Very impressed with that, because a lot of times people feel when they come before us that big business will rule the day, and so therefore you don't have a voice in your own community, which I never have like that. So I will say to you, sir, for me, if the community has made it quite clear that they feel as though your project is encroaching on their lifestyle or their residential living, that's worth taking a look at. And more importantly, the people who are in support of it, they're not here. And we can only cast votes on who showed up to the meeting. Am I making sense?
I understand.
Okay. And I just want to let you know that I appreciate your time. But I do want you to understand. Matter of fact, if you don't mind, do you live in Jefferson County?
I do not live in Jefferson County.
Do you live in the state of Alabama?
I do not live in the state of Alabama.
Okay, so actually you are representing your business is here on the south side, you said, right?
We do have our office over on Red Mountain. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you have a business here, but you personally don't live here?
I personally do not live here. My team does. My construction team, yes, ma'am. They all live in Jefferson County.
So I'll just say this. It's different when you're here. That's all I'm going to say. And there's nothing against you. But I've always been one that believed that if something should go wrong with the property or the development, whatever the case may be, you need to feel the pain of it. But you're not going to feel the pain of it. Those who work for you will. But you personally are not here. And it's profitable. I mean, what you're doing is not a hobby. And that's what people got to understand. This is not a hobby. This is your lifestyle. This is what you do. Right? But for the people who live there, I've seen where you take these developments and over a period of time, when we change the zoning, it's going to allow other businesses of the same model to come in. And once that zoning is changed, it's done. You understand what I mean? So you can have the greatest project ever. But if we change that zoning, it's going to have an impact on the people who live there. So I'm going to always be for the little folk that feel like the big folk are not going to listen because they got enough money to move the conversation. And I don't ever like that. And I don't think that that's your intention. But, sir, I will tell you, the mere fact that you're not here, maybe you wouldn't have the type of appreciation or lack thereof as relates to that property. And so much has gone over there to try to make that property a beautiful place. Over time, you're talking about near Ross Bridge. And I just don't understand that this right here, I would have no understanding why one would not impede on the other adversely. Am I making sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But I do appreciate you.
I appreciate
really
your
do.
comments as well. I will also, I do hate that the rest of the HOA is not here because we have had one opposition. He has spoken.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else has been in favor. So I do hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
We don't want to be in an area where our neighbors don't want us either. We want to be good neighbors.
Yeah.
And we have not had that experience so far, with the exception of two people, two neighbors.
Where do you live?
I live in Atlanta.
Commissioner Hamilton.
I get the gentleman's concern, Mr. Carter. I certainly do. My concerns would more align with Mr. Quinn. I understand that the dam is probably a bigger issue, and we've had conversation briefly out before. There's going to be a study on the dam. Is that correct, Ms. Carter? So,
That's staff's recommendation.
okay. So I think that's a huge issue, especially if there are trees, large trees in the dam. We've had issues with dams before, so I certainly get it. I'm wondering if maybe this vote is premature and pending that study coming out that may have more impact. I would depend on staff to kind of help draw that, if that is a true statement.
If I may, R7 zoning has a 2-year period. If there's no development within 2 years, then it expires. It may be worth the applicant to go ahead and invest the time to go into that study so that way the zoning itself wouldn't expire. Also, and just to touch on some comments that Commissioner Scales had, R7 zoning is development plan specific. And so there would be no change to what they're proposing today unless it has to go to the Planning and Zoning Commission, which could ultimately get kicked back to the County Commission at their pleasure. And then also the conditions that were put on place would also restrict that age to 55 and older. So it wouldn't be something that would be allowed for rental or market rate rental for anyone of any age without becoming a zoning violation and subject to criminal prosecution.
Could there be rezoning based on?
Anybody at any time can rezone property.
Okay, but it would be up to the commission to make that decision. Okay, so it would be important in the grand scheme of things to have that study done of that dam before an approval.
I can see the advantages of having that done before.
That's the study of the existing dam, correct?
Correct.
Well, plus, if you're going to make changes to the lake, I think you have to take that into consideration too. You know, the study of the existing dam, and then if you increase it by 30%, that seemed to me would put more pressure on the dam, but I'm not an engineer.
Understood, but that's also why we're building a new dam on our property that's
Right.
35 feet inward onto our property line.
It always seems like anytime you step off into anything, there's always more issues. So not making sure that, I'd feel more comfortable in voting on anything knowing that we have all the information, especially with stormwater and where things have been over the last 5-10 years. And instead of 25 or 100-year floods, we're getting 1,000-year floods. It doesn't seem like it's stopping anytime soon. I'd feel a lot more comfortable that the stormwater going into this lake and that dam were safety and secure and engineered appropriately, and everybody feels comfortable, and our staff feels comfortable with it. I'd prefer that we postpone any kind of vote today until that study is done and there's something more that we can deal with.
Also give you an opportunity to speak with your homeowners. The HOA that you said was everyone was in favor of it, which we see none.
Understood.
And right now, I don't know that it gives you an opportunity to use that communication. And if there's no change in what we see now, you may need to rethink your project.
Understood.
The chair will entertain a motion to.
Hold on, Mr. President, if you don't mind, before we make a motion. Then let me ask this, Mr. Morrison. Not you, honey, but Mr. Morrison. So my question is this: if the commission takes an action today and is based on some of what I'm hearing about voting prematurely on a project, right? Then where does that leave him? Does that mean that they still can proceed on some level with their project? I mean, what happens in between one versus the other?
If it were to be approved today, in its current state, again, they would have to develop to the site plan. And again, that's R7 zoning. They would have to develop with any conditions that's bestowed by the commission. Again, planning and zoning commissions recommend some, staff is recommending additional. And they would have 2 years to commence development on the property, or the zoning reverts back to its original zoning.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, for his purposes, does this then if this vote is delayed based on some of what I'm hearing, if this item is delayed, then where does that leave this business? Or do they proceed forward, but they just slow down momentum, or what happens? What are they doing during this time?
If it's delayed for whichever purpose of the county commission is delayed, it will not appear back on the agenda until that reason has been taken care of and reviewed by county staff.
Okay. So, Mr. President, now I'm gonna be honest with you. I know that you called for a vote on this matter, and I don't want to prolong the meeting, but I will tell you that concerns me when you have people who are here that are opposing this project, and we are talking about delaying it for the sake of whatever. I'm hoping that they will be able to be here if this vote is delayed for whatever reason, because again, for the folk who come and they show up, it's just like any meeting. The people who are present and the vote of a few can determine the outcome of many. You understand? So I hear what you're saying about them getting together, but I just strongly disagree if the people in the community who show up and they are saying that they are not in agreement with it. I don't see why we ignore that. That's there. And especially if you're telling me that you haven't provided the residents anything that says that how this is going to impact their property. That would be the first thing that anyone would ask. You bring a development, what is that, if my home is now $300,000, is it going to reduce it to $125,000? What is it going to do based on your project? And I'm just saying that in general. But I digress, Mr. President, because I'm going to vote the way I want to anyway. But I just hope that those who are here today on behalf of their community, that they are allowed to be able to come back. So if we delay the item, Commissioner Ammons, then we need to give it a time certain today so that those who are interested in coming can make sure that that is on their schedule as well.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion that we postpone this postpone until staff is satisfied with the dam study and brings it back before the commission. Not knowing how long that would take. You have somebody back there that'd like to speak.
Please come up. Yes, sir. We won't. Now, I didn't, you said something, but this gentleman beside you raised his hand and did it the right way. Let's let him come up.
Fair enough.
I don't want to belabor the moment here with Commissioner Ammons. I heard your statement. You said what matters to you is the dam. I represent the Mountain View community.
I said I understand your concerns. One of my concerns is the dam and how it affects the entire community, because stormwater is a big thing for me. So I certainly get your concerns. Absolutely, 100%.
I just wanted to come up and make sure I heard you right.
Yeah.
That's right.
No,
okay.
No, I certainly understand your concerns.
He's worried about the dam. I'm concerned about the community, and I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to speak. You are, according to the developer, most of the homeowners are okay with this, and you are in the minority on that. So I wanted to hear from everyone and give them an opportunity to speak, but I hear you, okay?
And he is
you're there loud and clear, and you're here voicing your opinion.
Yeah.
So we're going to certainly take that into consideration.
The minority, Mr. President, is based upon the statement of another person. Right. It's not based on any factual information, so we don't know that. All we know is who showed up to the meeting.
And the phone calls, it's my district, and the phone calls that I received were against the project. So I did receive, and I told you I received some calls, and they did not want the project. So that's my major concerns. And those houses over there are running $700,000 and above in that community. Because like I told you, I walked and knocked on every single door over there. So I know what's over there.
Chair will entertain. Would you
like
to
hear from this gentleman too?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner.
Thank you, sir.
I'll be brief. Taylor Scholl, Scholl Engineering, civil engineer for the project. Just to address Commissioner Ammons' comment on delaying for the dam study, as Mike mentioned, if it is rezoned, you have 2 years to build the project or reverse its previous zoning. Part of the permitting requirements would be to go through the dam study you're speaking of. That would be part of our scope. So by delaying it, you're asking the developer to undertake a significant study at significant risk to them if this project doesn't get zoned. But if we are zoned, it would be something we do as part of the permitting process. Right now, we're probably at 40%, 30% final design. So we have taken it pretty far, but there's a lot of work to do, a lot of money for them to spend on engineering costs at risk to them. So, and you do have the I guess the leverage in your court. The county permitting folks can delay the project if we don't meet the requirements of the engineering department as part of the dam study. So, just ask you to consider some of the risks they're undertaking by delaying and having us do a significant study at risk.
And I get your point. I'm not comfortable going down that road until our engineering folks have looked at it and we understand, because there are issues downstream if that dam fails, and if we zone it now, I would rather it be on us as a vote as opposed to our engineering staff having to do that.
That's fair. I will say this does exist. The drainage will be improved, in my opinion. The maintenance will be better. So I think the condition will be improved with this project. Although the volume of water above is more by 30%, the flow rate will be decreased. The dam will be improved. Trees will be removed. Maintenance will be improved. So in my opinion, things will get better.
So, Mr. President, at this time, I know that you got a first and a second, but Mr. President, respectfully, I'd like to speak to the motion in light of even what this gentleman has stated, which appears to be that there's some uncomfortability on their part to absorb this expense in order to have this study done to make sure that the residents are protected. That being said, Mr. President, then I would offer at the appropriate time that if this is going to be the sub-motion, then if it fails, Mr. President, then I'd like for us to go and present it, whether it go up or down, yes or no, as relates to the item as presented.
Would either the commissioners like to remove their motion or second?
I'll move it.
You'll remove it?
I'll remove it.
All right.
So you're going to withdraw it then, Mr. President?
Motion's been withdrawn.
Yeah, so then I now would you withdraw your second?
I did.
So then, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion at this time for denial of zoning KZ 220024.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for denial. Ms. DiLiberto, call the roll.
Commissioner Ammons?
No.
Commissioner Knight? No. Commissioner Scales?
We moving for denial, right? Yes.
Commissioner Tyson?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes. I'm going to move for denial on this based on what I've seen. Next zoning case, Z220038. Perhaps this one will be a little easier.
This is a request for compliance. This property is located out in the Queenstown area near Trussville. The property is zoned R5A, which is exclusively for mobile homes. And on this particular site, there is a stick-built residence. And the applicant has just made application in order to bring the property in compliance. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval. Staff recommends approval along with or concurrence with the Planning and Zoning Commission's recommendation.
Okay, thank you. This time, I'd like to open a public hearing Z220038. Owner Brian Woods, change in zoning. Is there anyone in the audience speaking in favor of or in opposition to this? If you're going to speak in favor of it, you're good. That's sometimes it's best just not to say anything if you're going to get close it. Especially we just close public hearing this time. Chair will entertain a motion.
Second.
Moved second. All in favor say aye. Aye. We're good. All right. Next is Z220040.
Yes, sir. This is a request for, also a request for compliance. This house, there's a old historic house that's on this property. Shortly after I began employment at the county, the property was rezoned to C1 for a bed and breakfast. I don't believe that business venture ever took off. Years later, another portion of the property was zoned to institutional too, as there was plans for a large church property to the north on the opposite side of the road, and they rezoned the property for access. At this point in time, because neither of those projects have come into fruition, they're requesting a rezoning back to its original R2 in order to market it just for residential purposes, as for the single-family residence. With that being the case, again, Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval, and staff recommends approval in concurrence.
All right, I'd like to open the public hearing at this time for Z220040. There were no applicants that signed up. Anyone speak in favor of in opposition to this? Seeing none, the public hearing is now closed.
Second.
Item's been moved and seconded twice. All in favor say aye.
Just said twice.
Thank you very much. We have one more zoning case, Z22005, that was a carryover case. This is public hearing. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. This is a request for a 108-lot subdivision along Fletcher Road down in the McCalla area. Originally, the applicant made application for a significant more amount of lots and a different zoning classification that would allow more density. In light of the county's land use plan for the area, as well as in response to public opposition at the original public hearing, they downscaled their development plan to just have the 108 lots. The property consists of several acres. Excuse me. The density of the overall development is around 1 per acre. Under its current zoning, as A1, it would allow for a subdivision of having 92 lots approximately. And so the differential here is only about 18 lots between what they could do now and what they could maximize with if it were rezoned to a classification that is in compliance with the area land use plan. There was some significant opposition at the public hearing before Planning and Zoning on both instances. The residents expressed concerns about changing of the rural character of the area, as well as impacts on traffic and drainage. Again, reiterating the traffic concerns for the area as this area is starting to develop with the new hospital and additions to the industrial park, as well as several other subdivisions that have come into fruition over the past few years. Again, the rezoning is compatible with the policies of the land use plan for this area. The Planning and Zoning Commission did recommend approval, and staff recommends approval in concurrence.
So we're talking about 18 lots difference.
Under its current zoning, they could develop 92 lots. Again, that's just pending they maximize the amount of space on the property to allow such. But
same arguments that were made in the previous controversial case, I think, apply here also, as far as the character of the community and the ingress egress of going to this. This is out at Camp Fletcher, am I correct?
Correct. This is north of Camp Fletcher on Fletcher Road.
Yeah, on Fletcher Road.
Correct. And currently, there are plans for road improvements in that area that would involve straightening out where there is this horseshoe curve.
Right. Okay. At this time, I'd like to open a public hearing, Z22005. Is there anyone in opposition to or in favor of this particular item? Yes, ma'am. Now, you did not have a sign-in sheet. Okay. So what I need for you to do is come up and state your name and your address. And so who do we begin with? Yes, ma'am. You come on up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Ronnie Tillman, and I'm at 5062 Fletcher Road. Okay, I'm opposed of this because I have a story to tell also. My parents bought the property out there in the 50s. We have lived out there since then. Okay, since that time, we have had serenity and peace. No traffic, well, minimal traffic. no walkers, no nothing, because we're in an area where we are like secluded. So now, since we've grown up, we have 3 schools in the area, which is McAdory, McCullough Elementary. We also have the
Heritage Christian Academy.
Yeah, that a Christian Academy school. The hospital is in the process of building. Okay, with this plan that the developers are considering, it is going to increase our traffic tremendously. My house is, where they're talking about building, my house is right across the street from that section. Now, mind you, we've been there since the 50s, okay? And I really, not only me, but some of the other neighbors don't want to see this development happen. We're on acreage. We're on acreage. Okay, the homes, some of the homes out there are anywhere between $500,000-$700,000 homes. Okay, and to see all this development coming in, it's going to create issues for us. You know, we're going to have walkers because they're constantly building on a subdivision that's right up the street now from where we are. Okay, and that subdivision is going like around some of the houses that are already there. Okay, and with this subdivision coming in that they're wanting to build, it's going to be a lot of traffic. There are no buses out there. You have to have cars. No bus run out there. Okay. Let me see, I made my notes. Okay. And the wildlife is just disappearing. The wildlife is just disappearing. But my biggest concern is the people that will be coming into the area is not so much the people that will be buying. It's the other family members that will be coming in that may not be in the same category as the family members that are there. You know, that's where your walkers and everything come in. So I am strongly disopposing the bill of this subdivision. It's just, it's too much. It's too much to digest. And most of the people that are out there now, we're up in age, you know, and it's a lot of traffic and to have to deal with out there. And I'm just not for the development, period.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate your comments. Had someone else here raise their hand also, please. Yes, ma'am, please. State your name and your address and how close you are to this proposed development.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chanel Fletcher. I am at 4975 Monroe Drive. If I can use, there was a clicker or pointer at one time.
Mike.
Thank you so much, sir. Let me see if I can work this.
You're right across from the entrance to this subdivision.
Well, actually, here are the proposed parcels here. This road here that is a one-way in, one-way out, that is 3 miles long. At the top of it, you have UAB construction here for the hospital. Wonderful. This is up in the commercial area up here where CVS and all the businesses are. As you come on down this 2-lane, that's, if you want to compare it to somewhere else, you compare it to like a Shannon Road, where there's just 2-lane, it's very rural, a lot of trees and such. As you come on down in this area, it gets a little bit more dense. Here are the 3 parcels that are in question. This is Lou George Loop. This home right here is directly across from this subdivision. This home is valued at almost $1 million. This land is 10 acres that a teacher from Jefferson County proposes to build a $600,000 home that she is now considering not to build because of this proposed subdivision. This is Miss Tillman's land, which has been in her family, that's 10 acres. Here, this home here is valued at $800,000. All these homes on this street are valued at either between $500,000 and $1 million on this street here. This is Camp Fletcher, which has been in place for years, that services, a lot of kids in the area and other areas as well. Well, if you come on down this 2-lane right here where it intersects and come here, all this backs up is Shades Creek, okay? So you have 3 parcels here that consist of 103 acres. That's a hill. When you have this hill and you clear this many acres with trees, you're going to cause an issue down here for all of these residents down in this area, even Camp Fletcher, where the creek runs behind. That is one of the concerns. This same piece of parcel was voted down years ago when the first developer tried to develop it, and it was basically for storm water issues. Why now is it being approved? This is the same piece of land. You can say what you can do, but once you leave, we have to deal with that water. We have to deal with the flooding that's down there. We moved there almost 20 years ago because this area is tranquil. It's serene. It has wildlife. Most of the people down in this area have acres. They don't have lots. They have acres of land. Their families have grown up here. Their children are now here. And we want to keep it this way. So first and foremost, we're opposed to it. We want to keep it the way it is because, like I said, this is just our way of life. In addition to that, you have subdivisions that are being put in place all up and down this one road. They've constructed or have future plans for the traffic part of it. They have a turnaround or I forget what they call it, a walk around, drive around, something.
Roundabout.
There you go. They have a roundabout suggested for the current population. You haven't considered these over 100 and something people in this subdivision. You have this subdivision up here that's adding on another up to 100. You have Trace, I believe it's some kind of Trace that's on this side that's adding another 100 residents here. You have a new proposition that just came up last week for 4 houses. So we know that McCullough is up and growing, but at some point, it's got to stop. It's getting over flooded. And nobody has to deal with this but us. And we would like to keep it the way that it is. We met with the developer and we expressed to him our concern. We don't want it. When they come in and build these houses that may decrease the value of the homes that are there because they're putting so many that are going to be sub-value to ours, they're gone. They don't have to deal with the water. They don't have to deal with the traffic. They don't have to deal with the increased crime rate. They don't have to deal with any of this stuff, but we do. We don't plan on moving because someone comes in. We want to stay. We don't want to have to sell our home that we've saved up for years, sacrificed, because you want to put in a subdivision and leave. We don't want that. And I will tell you, the majority of the people, and when I say majority, I'm talking 90% of the residents in this area are opposed to this project. They came out in droves the first meeting. They came out in droves the second meeting. But when they got here, they were informed that the meeting had been postponed because someone had COVID. So this time, our numbers are down. The first time we were told the meeting was going to be at 9 o'clock. It didn't start until hours later. So it has kind of decreased the number of people because they have to work, sit, doctors, or what have you. So we don't have the numbers here, but the opposition to this is great. And I think it's greater than the need for this subdivision. So I would ask, and I know, Commissioner Stevens, you know this area. It is dense. We don't have a problem with rebuilding. We don't have a problem with new businesses. We love the fact that UAB is coming in. It's wonderful up there in the commercial area. But too much is too much. When it comes to your way of life, and I'm sure you know a lot of the residences down in Serene Lakes, Coleman Lakes, these people are against this project. They just say enough is enough. Too much growth will definitely cause problems in the future. And I'm just asking for a no vote on this proposal for the rezoning.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, anyone else? Please come up and name and address, for or against. Then we're going to vote on that.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your time. My name is Rhett Loveman. I'm here on behalf of the property owner, the OLD Group. The rezoning request before you, just to give you a little history, we did come before planning and zoning back in the spring with a RG zoning, which would have matched the zoning directly to the north that you see in that crosshatched area. So adjacent to here, we learned at that meeting, obviously there was plenty of opposition to that. We were requesting 269 lots. We learned that the comprehensive plan for Jefferson County had these parcels zoned or as designated as rural. Up here, it was designated as suburban. The line between the two is right here, kind of splits these properties. So we went back and we studied the comprehensive plan in detail, and we came up with a new plan. We cut the density by 60% from 269 lots to 100, and there's actually 107, but the request says 108 lots. We did that after studying the comprehensive plan because the comprehensive plan considers 4 elements, which, does the property have access to public streets and roads? Yes, to Fletcher Road. And Fletcher Road, per the county staff, is being realigned whether or not this project happens because it's got some issues right now. Second, does the property have access to sanitary sewer? It does. Jefferson County sanitary sewer is stubbed right here. And currently, it would allow for 160 homes on this property. We're only requesting 107 homes on this property. Third, does the proposed zoning, the rural residential zoning, comply with the comprehensive plan? It does. The comprehensive plan specifically allows for rural residential. The name itself specifies what we're going for. We're trying to keep the rural character of the area by requesting rural residential zoning. And finally, the comprehensive plan encourages neighborhood growth where infrastructure is. This site has roads and utilities to it, and again, we're requesting to keep that residential rural zoning, which would be a 30,000 square foot minimum lot. And when you take into account the infrastructure, you're talking about the roads that go into the subdivision, you're going to have approximately 1 acre lots in there. So these lots will be generous sizes. If you sold that property today as it currently is without any improvements, the per acre price would probably be $12,000-$15,000 an acre, I'm guessing. If you go and you subdivide it and you sell those 1 acre lots in there, your per acre price based on sales prices down there is probably going to be $100,000. You're substantially increasing the value of the property, which increases the value of the whole area. I don't have to tell y'all, growth is coming this way. I personally feel, I understand the residents' concerns. By locking in a rural residential zoning today, they're preventing a more dense use at some point in the future because the growth is coming this way. You've got the hospital, you've got the Smucker's plant, you've got, y'all know what's happening at JeffMet down there. It's coming one way or the other. And I do understand their concerns, but so.
Okay, thank you. All right, any commissioner like to address this, please?
How big are the homes, did you say?
There's no builder. This is just the property owner requesting to rezone it. But, if you have a $100,000 lot, just a general rule of thumb for builders is they're going to put at least 20-25% in their lot. So, the homes are going to have to be above $400,000, maybe up to $500,000. It's going to be a nice subdivision that, in my mind, is going to serve those nurses and the other folks that are going to be employed at the hospital.
Ms. Carter, can you kind of tell us what they're going to do to Fletcher Road? Jim, you may know.
So the planned work in the vicinity is to straighten out the curve. We have kind of some site distance issues, but it's a rural Tulane County road.
Will it accommodate school buses?
Mr. President?
Yes, ma'am.
I know this is in your district. I'll just say that the homeowners in that area, I'm very pleased with your presentation. And I'm going to leave that at that. I'm very, very pleased to know that you all have been actively involved in the communications and the meetings that take place, and more importantly, that you're here before us today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. I haven't yet. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
There were letters sent to Mr.
We have the letters. Yes, ma'am. very, very much aware of it. Thank you very much. This time, I'd like to close the public hearing. Well, yes, sir.
My name is Chris Eckroyd. I'm with Caprine Engineering, representing the OLE group as well. I wanted to take a moment just to address the concerns about the stormwater. We did reach out to the county's consultant. His name has just left my, I've just forgotten his name as we bring him up here, but the gentleman out of Auburn, we had a long conversation about the stormwater on this, in this area, in the comprehensive study he's doing. So ultimately, our goal is to work with your consultant who's kind of redoing the whole model down in this area of the county, as I understand the conversation with him. So while he didn't have it complete at this time, we had a good conversation about, inserting our project into the model and being compliant with everything that he's trying to achieve within the county's, within the directive that the engineering department has given him. So if there are concerns about stormwater, we fully intend to work with the county's their consultant out of Auburn regarding those. So I haven't heard any specific complaints from the Cahaba River Society or somebody else's assessment, but that's just our response to that, is that we have reached out to the county's consultant who's currently working on it. And again, his work wasn't complete at the time of our conversation, but we fully intend to mesh with whatever he's doing there.
Thank you. This time, I'd like to close the public hearing.
Mr. President, I move for approval.
We have a motion for approval. Do we have a second? Motion dies for lack of a second.
Move to deny, Mr. President.
Have a motion to deny.
It's already denied.
No, he said motion to approve.
And it failed.
Then it failed.
It failed.
Okay, because you didn't get a second, but I thought. Okay, Mr. President.
Okay, guys. County attorney, they've got a year. Motion to deny.
So was I right
We
in what I said?
have them.
Wait a minute.
I know y'all think you know more than I do, but I thought that that's what needed to happen since that failed. And now we
If
need
it
to have
fails, why are you pulling a second motion?
It's
I'm
not.
just.
Your record is that you had a motion of approval and it's failed, but then you should go ahead and complete the record by having your other motion.
I think you just denied the motion when you didn't get a second, or you didn't pass the motion.
That's my recommendation.
Okay, well, we can do it both ways. How about that?
That'll work. Motion to deny. We have a second.
Second. Excuse me, I made the motion.
You made the motion.
That's why I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. It got real quiet. No, I made the motion.
We have a motion and a second. I guess we need to call the roll on this.
Commissioner Ammons?
No.
Commissioner Knight?
Aye.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson? Commissioner Stevens?
Yes. So that motion is denied now. All right.
Lord mercy.
Yeah, it's. Normally, we don't have these type of.
We're
working.
We're working hard today.
Wait a minute.
No, we don't.
We do, I think.
What's it?
This is one we carried over. It's not a public hearing, I don't think. I think we had a public hearing, right?
Yes, you did hold the public hearing on the other item. It's just a regular item under development services.
Do what?
It's just a regular item under our development services agenda. But yes, you've already held the public hearing on that case.
Okay. Is that C-220037?
Correct.
Okay. There were some things that they were going to do last time, and this was about a drainage study, I think?
Correct.
Okay. Did we have a drainage study?
They did submit one to the engineers of the Department of Roads and Transportation. I think that they were satisfied with the findings. As far as the rezoning goes, there were some things that they were going to need to tweak with their site planning if they were to move forward with the development.
Okay.
You going to pull that one out separate, Jim?
Is it an item on the agenda? What item is it?
It's item number 56.
56.
we'll just pull it out and discuss it separately when we get to it. Commissioner, you have resolutions 1 through 77. We did have 78, but one of those items was removed, and we just discussed it and voted on it because it did require a public hearing. So we have 77 items. Is there any that a particular commissioner would like to pull for separate consideration?
I have two.
Okay.
There's 25 and 27.
25 and 27.
56.
And 56. So
you got an item at
And
21.
I think we need to pull 21 just for a pen and ink change.
Yeah, the pen and ink change will be for 21, and we can address that one. There is a $50,000 infrastructure for a total of $80,000. It's 30 and 50, and that did not make it through part of the agenda, but it did make it to our original. So
I'll make a motion for 1 through 77, holding out 21, 25, 27, and 56 for separate consideration.
we have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so those are approved. Let's go with 21. 21 is a resolution authorizing a community grant program amendment for the Friends of McCalla in the amount of $50,000 to assist in finishing the athletic complex, $30,000 from community grant, plus a $30,000 from a community grant, $50,000 from infrastructure for a total of $80,000.
I'll make a motion to approve based on that pen and ink change.
Yeah.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 21 is done. 25, Commissioner.
Do 56.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do 56, Commissioner Knight.
Okay.
Michael? That.
Yes, sir. Again, this is a request for a subdivision development going from A1 to R1. Again, we have the public hearing on it. The original public hearing before the Planning and Zoning Commission, there were some residents who live in the subdivision on the opposite side of Turkey Creek from here who had concerns about the effects on the creek. And again, it was asked by Commissioner Knight that we carry this over for further investigation of the drainage on the site. I believe the engineers who are working on the project are here, as well as the county engineer, if you've got any questions regarding the findings of those.
Has the preliminary drainage analysis been done?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And is it subject to your approval and standards?
Yeah.
Okay.
The proposed drainage management addresses the change in inflows from development.
I'm sorry?
I said the proposed detention for the project addresses the change in stormwater for this project, so it would address the issue or the impact.
So we're good with it? Okay. And I do have one. How many houses was this? I can't remember. I think our gentlemen are here. 57. That's right. Okay. One parking space per development. I had a little problem with that. I mean, what if somebody's got?
That's just what's required in the regulations for
Gotcha.
single-family dwellings. Yes.
I'll move the item.
Second.
I got a motion. Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you very much. 25, Commissioner Tyson. 25 and 27, those are related to the World Games.
Yes.
You pull those out for separate vote only?
Yes.
All right, we have, need a motion. Commissioner Knight?
I move item 25 and 27.
Second.
Have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I oppose, no.
And we have, it's 4-1. So we have that.
I actually have a question, Mr. President, before you call the vote.
Okay.
Whatever. Yeah, no, I mean, seriously. That's why before you said I wanted to speak to it.
Yeah, I'll answer your,
Yeah, but
Commissioner
for
Scales
public
had a
consumption.
question for public consumption. There was $4 million and there's $6.5 is what was in that entire bucket. The $2.5 million was for the civil rights district was already in that bucket.
Mm-hmm.
So that money was already allocated for tourism, the monies that had been lost for tourism during, for that. So,
But, Mr. President, but I also, in addition to that, I actually had a statement in it that moved so fastly. But my statement was, and I wanted to be clear on one question, Ms. Dixon, you can help me with this. So basically, those tourism dollars do not, or do, tell me as it relates to the reflection of those operational needs that we provide for our citizens. I'm saying this for the record, versus those dollars that we are using, and let me be clear, as it relates to those entities, because I think that this has not been conveyed to the public properly, that this game requested services. And it is those vendors that this commission has been trying to make sure that in support of making sure that those things are addressed. So I just wanted to be sure for the record. I know what I've seen on TV, but for the record, the difference between what we're doing in terms of tourism dollars versus the concerns of the community, that they believe that perhaps this may be taking away anything in terms of governmental services that we provide.
This is funded out of ARPA. And ARPA money can be used for several different things, right?
right.
I understand that, but I wanted to be clear, because you are CFO, that residents understand the difference in the dollars that are being used for tourism versus the idea that monies are being taken away from their communities or their neighborhoods, such as roads and any other service that we provide as a county.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, no, I want you to speak to that.
This is ARPA. I'll defer to Cal on this one.
Yeah, the ARPA grant, of course, is federal dollars. It has very restricted uses. Y'all have approved the 4 uses that the federal government set out in the outline, and one of the uses was tourism to promote recovery from the COVID outbreak and pandemic. So it was very specific. It had to be for tourism. Y'all had set up a contingency amount. We moved that to the tourism bucket, and we could not use that money for roads or that kind of thing. And I think you have a pretty good program for all the other buckets that you are using it for. So.
Well, I wanted that to go on the record, not on just television or any other form of media. I wanted to be very clear for the record that those dollars could not be used for those operational needs that our citizens are looking for us to provide. Okay, and so therefore, that the public needs to know that, and they need to know what we are attempting to do, and in the vein in which we're operating. So I wanted that to be stated, okay. and that's that.
Commissioners, we have one item of new business is to authorize the commission president to execute documents for the Jefferson County Sheriff to receive a grant for the East Central Alabama Safety Office to provide reimbursement for traffic enforcement.
Yes, this is a time-sensitive request. It's a grant that's given every year by the sheriff, and it allows reimbursable expenses for the sheriff's office to do traffic enforcement.
I'll move for unanimous consent for the consideration
second.
of one new item.
We have a motion and a second for unanimous consent for one item of new business. Mr. DeLaberto.
Commissioner Ammons?
Yes.
Commissioner Knight?
Aye.
Yes.
Commissioner Scales? Commissioner Tyson? Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
I move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a couple of seconds.
Commissioner Ammons?
Yes.
Commissioner Knight?
Aye.
Commissioner Scales?
Yes.
Commissioner Tyson? Yes. Commissioner Stevens?
All right, we have that done. Now we have item number 27 that we did not address. I thought we were doing them together. Item 25 and 27.
I move item 27.
Second.
No, we already voted on that.
No,
we did them both.
Just on 25. She didn't
Did
say
we do
27.
25 and 27 or just?
You got a motion.
I thought I moved them both. But
There was for both.
I did move them both.
I voted
You bet.
no on both of them.
All right, there. We had a motion and a second, and it was for both of them.
Right.
County Attorney.
Right, that was the reason why I provided my my level of questioning.
Right.
All right. Is there, Commissioner, would like to speak?
Yes, I do have. I have a town hall meeting tonight at the Mary Dorsey Center at 4560 Park Avenue Southwest, 35211 Birmingham. We will be having some of the county departments out, road and transportation, with some project environmental service, with the sewer projects that's over in that area. We will have the sheriff department, and it has been to address and pinpoint a lot of crime that's within that area. We will have Mothers Against Violence. They will be there to talk about the violence in the community and the work that they are doing and the things that they are doing within the Jefferson County with the violence with the young adults that we have been having within that area. We will have a representative from the pro tem, the president, Wardine Alexander's office, because she's actually in a conference, so she will have somebody there to represent her. So we're asking for people to come out to hear their plan, to address some of the violence, and to hear what the county is doing actually in that area.
It is. It's a pleasure. Commissioner Knight chairs the 911 committee along with myself as a co-chair, and I'm going to ask Donnie West and his team to come on up. It's not, with the Fitch report coming out and it's saying that our 911 system was very chaotic. It was a week after that report came out that Donnie was in Anaheim, California, to receive an award for their training program. It was the P33 award. And I thought it was very important that we recognize them for the level of service and training that they're providing for their staff and what it really means for the people of Jefferson County, and to say thank you for what you've done and how you've improved the level of service to the citizens and how you work with Birmingham 911. So tell us just a little bit about it.
Yeah, so these two individuals here actually help with the accreditation process. So I'm going to let her step up. And this is Marcy Ledbetter. She's actually our center manager. And so there's a process to go through for accreditation. And that process is what they took on about 2 years ago. It's kind of one of our strategic plan check marks that we wanted to do. And so being the first in the state of Alabama as a 911 center to be recognized for this accreditation, but also on a national level as well. So I'm going to let Marcy take it from here and talk a little bit about it.
It was a lot of work. Bob had a big hand in it as our training coordinator. But basically what P33 is, it maintains our training program at national level. So our curriculum, our material, everything is national standards. So that in turn helps us provide better service for our community.
And I think in part of the release it said meets or exceeds. So I think exceeding is even better, and something always to be looked at. Commissioner Knight?
Donnie, we've known you a long time. You've been a fire chief, you've been assistant chief, and you're director out there. You and RG have done a great job over the years, and man, we're proud of you, and we appreciate all of you for what you've done, for making, and I know there's been some chatter out there on some 911 stuff, but you guys kick it, and we appreciate all that you do. We really do, because without you guys, who's going to answer when we need help?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And we thank each one of y'all, too.
Yeah. And I think it's also important to note that Donnie is a big part of helping us with looking at the ambulance issue in Jefferson County, and we could not do this without his help. And of course, his history is that he was also with Hoover as a firefighter for 60 years.
Yeah, about 60. A long time.
So it's good to have him as from both sides, not only 911 but also on the fire and rescue side. So thank you again for what you guys, all of you, are doing.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. And I think John's in the audience as well. So he's our chairman for our 911, one of the 7. So I just want to recognize John as well. I appreciate it.
Let me ask you this:
Yes,
have y'all learned more about planning and zoning than you ever thought you would today?
I've been through it myself, so I realize.
More than we need to. Yeah, appreciate it.
Good job. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Donnie. Thank you again.
Donna, stay there, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Scale.
Now, are you ready for me to make my report?
Aye.
I'm at, and I'm sure now you're probably figuring like, why in the world she had me to stay? Yeah, because you're going to be at our town hall meeting. So I want to invite everyone to be able to come out to our public safety town hall meeting, which is going to take place on this upcoming Monday, September the 12th. At 6 o'clock, doors will open at 5 p.m. Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic Church, which is at 980 Huffman Road. And I'm so glad you all have said such flattering words concerning him, and I thank you for accepting my ask. We are going to have Representative Alan Treadaway, who represents the state legislature, and he's the chairman of the Public Safety and Homeland Security. In addition to that, we have our own Honorable Michael Streety, who is the presiding judge for the criminal courts. In addition to that, we have District Attorney Danny Carr. We have our own Sheriff, Mark Petway. We have D'Angelo Hall and Lawrence Billups from our Fraternal Order of Police. Then, of course, we have you. And I love Greg Silas. So Greg is you represent the county and the 911 district. But Greg represents the city of Birmingham, or Birmingham 911. And then we have our own Jim Coker, who is with EMA, but he too does so much work as relates to that. And then we have our own Miss Heather Carter. So Miss Heather is going to be there talking about our roads and transportation. And I wanted to make sure you stood there because one of the things that we talked about earlier this morning is how residents, when they get on that call, and every second counts. So from dispatch all the way to the Alabama State Legislature, they got to have that walkthrough in terms of what that looks like.
Sure.
And it's so much valuable work that you all do that a lot of times, because things don't go as smoothly as we'd like for it to go, you kind of get a bad rap. So I just wanted to tell you personally, thank you, and it's going to be my honor for you to come on behalf of the residents of Jefferson County, particularly that eastern and north west area of the county, because we need your help, and so we look forward to continuing on to forge that relationship. So thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you.
All right, and so in addition to that, Mr. President, I did want to say how much, truthfully, this thing about the World Games has been much talk, but I do have to say that on behalf of our own representative on that Convention and Visitors Bureau board, that he's made the case several times. I think with so much that has happened, the only thing that I will say is good job, Commissioner Knight. You really tried to convince us, that we had to look at the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is for those services that have been rendered. What does this look in terms of the international community? Even though Birmingham was the host city, I was a a council member. So was Commissioner Tyson was a council member. But back in April 2015, when the previous mayor had signed on to host this game, it is what it is, and people have provided a service, and they need to be paid. But I will say this going forward, when 2025, and I'm saying this for the record, I'm making it very clear that folk are going to have to watch their budgets, and just like we do here at the county, if you exceed your budget, you'll be on your own. I'm making that very clear. So today, I feel as though those vendors who provided a service, not those who took a risk. It is important to me that my constituents understand and know the difference between what is happening versus what they hear in soundbite. So I'm more concerned about what happens on the record. And everybody's kind of on pins and needles, and you don't need to be. But I'm going to tell you, for my constituents, they have to know why I do what I do. That's very important to me. But as we move forward, if folks don't stay within their budget, they're going to be on their own. Okay? And I think that we've been very cooperative, collaborative, and I think that we have also shown that as a county that want to forge relationships with all cities within Jefferson County, that we're here to support. But make no mistake about it, we're holding everyone accountable in terms of what they're supposed to be doing. So thank you, Commissioner Knight. You really brought this thing on in, and so hopefully everyone has learned a lesson and will govern themselves accordingly.
Thank you, Commissioner, and I appreciate it. I appreciate my fellow commissioners here who have supported me throughout these games. And I want to thank our county manager and our legal team for helping us find that pathway to help out in a very tough situation. And doing that without having the adverse effects, as we've already discussed, on the citizens or what their needs are. We did partner early with the city of Birmingham, with the Convention and Visitors Bureau, and with the corporate community to bring these games to Birmingham, Alabama, to the United States. We provided first-class venues for these young athletes who've been in training for many, many years in order to come here and be able to compete in their own sport, and it was very good for them. The feedback that we've gotten from them has just been what a great opportunity it was and what a great place Birmingham is. With all the violence going on around the world, we hosted an international event without incident, and that's thanks to the great job done by collectively the Emergency Management Agency of Jefferson County, the police department, and our awesome deputies who stepped up to the plate also. We exported a lot of goodwill throughout the world, thanks to our wonderful volunteers and to all those who were involved in the games. And as we all know, at the end, we did have a debt. We began working very hard to try to figure out a way to ensure that those who worked, those who risked, those who put input into these games, especially those that brought them here, get paid. So we've done that. We continue to do that. We work diligently to get these people paid. And again, I want to thank my colleagues and our county team, because it's the right thing to do to get these people paid. And we are not going to abandon our partners that we partnered with over the last years. We're not going to abandon them when the chips are down. So we found a pathway. Thank you again, and we'll continue to get this issue resolved. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. We've had a very long meeting today. We dealt with a lot of different issues, and one issue that we really haven't spoke about today is in this entire agenda we had, we passed a fiscal year budget and all of the accompanying resolutions. So we've done it on time. We have a balanced budget. I would like to take this time to thank county management, county finance team, my fellow commissioners that worked so diligently and so hard to get this budget done that will impact positively to our citizens and improve their quality of life. It's a great thing that we can do this. There was a time when we were here that the budget process took 6 months, 8 months, and then we fussed to the last minute. That's not the case anymore, and we certainly do appreciate it, and we look forward to working with county staff to pave these roads and to make sure that your quality of life is enhanced by what we do here as a commission. God bless you, and this meeting is recessed for further notice.
I'm just getting out of master's. So.
All right.
Well, you should.